A Wheel of Time TV show consultant claims she was, quote, always focused on fidelity to canon, while she has found a new position becoming the new narrative and engagement creative producer for the company that controls the rights to the Wheel of Time. I'll roll this up over at fandompulse.com. You can find the link in the description below. So this consultant, her name is Sarah Nakamura. She was a story and lore master consultant on Amazon MGM Studios and Sony's now canceled Wheel of Time show. And she announced she's become the narrative and engagement creative producer for iWatt Productions, the company that owns the rights to Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time. This is what she posted over on X. The wheel has been weaving a path for me for a long time, and Twitter of Time has been there for me every step of the way. I've walked alongside this story for most of my life, first as a reader, then as part of the show, and now as something I never imagined when I first opened the Eye of the World all those years ago. I'm incredibly excited to share that I've officially stepped into the role of creative producer, narrative engagement at iWatt Studios. This isn't a beginning, it's a continuation. I've been working behind the scenes for years to help guide the adaptation of this world we all love, and now that work has a name. My role will continue to focus on story development, world building, lore fidelity, and community connection, the parts that matter most to those of us who've been here since the start. Thank you for trusting me, challenging me, and holding this community with so much love. I don't take a single thread of it for granted. Let's see where the pattern leads next, and then she has all those hashtags, right? So we found some more information in a press release shared to the Wheel of Time fan site, dragonmount.com. It was revealed that Nakamura's new role will see her, quote, oversee the narrative development, brand storytelling, and fan engagement across all iWatt Studio initiatives, as well as represent iWatt Studios at all fan conventions and industry conferences worldwide. We know that they are trying to find a home for the TV show after it was scrapped at Amazon. We'll see if that comes to fruition. They did announce that they were working on some kind of massively, some MMO video game development, and I think there's also some like animated projects in the works as well that they are trying to get off the ground. We will see if that happens, given I think that Rafe Judkins basically ran this brand, this IP into the ground with his show and turning it into LGBTQ plus propaganda, as he admitted. Additionally, she will host a video podcast series with exclusive updates and behind-the-scenes access to iWatt Studios projects, as well as interviews with directors, actors, game developers, and more. So here's the real story right here, because as part of that press release, this is what she said. For 3 seasons, I served as a story and lore consultant on the highly successful Sony Prime Video series, always focused on fidelity to canon. That's right. She says she was always focused on fidelity to canon. Always focused. And she goes on and says, we'll get back to that. That experience prepared me for this new role, where I'll guide creative decisions and ensure every project remains true to the heart and mythology of the series. I've loved this role for as long as I can remember, and it's an honor to bring it to life in new, immersive ways. Rick Selvage, one of the co-owners of iWatt, commented on the hiring of Nakamura, saying, Sarah's experience, expertise, and deep passion for the Wheel of Time make her the ideal person to guide our transmedia creative efforts. Her commitment to preserving the integrity of the series is unmatched, and we're thrilled to welcome her back to the team. So let's get back to this comment here saying she was always focused on fidelity to canon. And so if you take her at her word that she was always focused on fidelity to canon, it's hard to see how she was successful at her job, given, as I said, showrunner Rafe Judkins admitted to turning the show into LGBTQ plus propaganda and basically eschewing all fidelity to canon. He said that ahead of the release of its 3rd season. So it's pretty obvious that she failed at her job. She failed at her job. If she was actually trying to keep that show, keep it as close to canon as possible, have that fidelity to canon, she obviously failed at that. She completely and totally failed at that. And so she didn't do a good job with that. And now she's getting hired. I don't know if this is a promotion. It looks like, because now she's working for the company that is the rights holder to Wheel of Time, and it looks like she's becoming one of like the go-to people for the Wheel of Time based on this press release and what she's saying she's going to be guiding creative decisions and ensure every project remains true to the heart and mythology of the series. Well, she clearly failed at that as the consultant on the TV show. So why would we think she's going to actually do this with any of these other projects? I just don't see how that is possible, given the fact that she totally failed with the TV show, and it's unlikely that we're going to see any of these projects come to fruition anyways because of the failure of that TV show, because they decided to turn it into woke LGBTQ plus propaganda and admitted to doing that. I mean, we can also look at what Brandon Sanderson has said. Like, she clearly didn't even bring him in to try to have that fidelity to the canon, right? Because he posted this about a week or so ago, and he said that much of his notes were completely ignored. He wrote this in a comment on YouTube. I do think it's a shame, as while I had my problems with the show, it had a fan base who deserved better than a cancellation after the best season. I won't miss being largely ignored. They wanted my name on it for legitimacy, but not to involve me in any meaningful way. So again, where was Sarah Nakamura? What was she doing? I don't know. But clearly, this claim that she was always focused on fidelity to canon, I find that extraordinarily hard to believe when we have all of this evidence that the show did not stick to canon whatsoever and eschewed canon as much as it possibly could and was really just a skin suit of the Wheel of Time. The show was Rafe Judkins' LGBTQ plus propaganda wearing the Wheel of Time as a skin suit. And that's what happened. So she clearly was not focused on fidelity to canon in my mind, based on what we saw. Maybe she was doing something behind the scenes. Doesn't seem that way. It doesn't seem like she was calling the show out. I mean, look, she's calling it highly successful right here. She's still praising the show. No, if you were actually focused on fidelity to canon, you would be publicly criticizing this show, pointing out the problems that it has. I'm just not seeing that. Haven't seen that from her. The only one who was kind of doing that, was attached to the show, was Brandon Sanderson, and obviously he does it in his own little way where he's trying to stay positive so he can maintain his connections with Hollywood, etc., while also providing what he views as constructive feedback. And I actually think it did a massive disservice to him. I actually think it exposed more people to kind of how he operates and how he is kind of reliant on the system now, or he wants to be part of the system. Maybe he's not reliant on it, but he wants to be part of it. He wants to be part of that Hollywood chain, and he's willing to sacrifice the things he believes in for that. And I think we kind of saw that with his criticisms, his half-hearted, his lukewarm criticisms of the Wheel of Time. But I think this franchise is pretty much dead as far as any kind of adaptations moving forward. I don't think we're going to see any of it. And I think Rafe Judkins, the people at Sony and Amazon MGM Studios, and I would assume the Sarah Nakamura woman, given the fact she was a consultant, claiming that she was focused on fidelity to canon, are to blame for that. And obviously, IWAT Productions, the company that was producing the show, is to blame as well, because they allowed it all to happen, and they should have stepped in and said, absolutely not. We're not allowing you to turn Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time into LGBTQ plus propaganda. But that's what happens. They allowed it to happen. So I just have absolutely zero faith in Sarah Nakamura in this new role, and zero faith in IWAT Productions trying to create any kind of adaptation for the Wheel of Time or anything else they happen to get their hands on. They've clearly shown that they are not capable of actually creating a good adaptation. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, and to always, always speak the truth.
Why would you be afraid of the people? Why are you not afraid of God instead of man?